I've just been sitting here thinking about how nobody talks about that season where your old life doesn't fit anymore, but your new life hasn't fully started yet. So it's like you are right in the middle of walking away from your old life whilst you are making your way towards your new life. So you're like right there in the middle, the section of your life. You're not who you used to be, but you're not fully who you're becoming either. If you catch the drift, you're no longer living your past life, but you're not fully the new person that you are working towards. And to be honest, that space in between can feel unsettling. It can bring a bit of confusion or even dilemma, because you're now in between and maybe you're not sure whether you've made the right decision to close that other door and move towards a new chapter of your life. Especially if you're a coach or a service provider who runs their business online, or maybe you are that strong one, the one that people call the strong one, that strong person that can handle shifts, that can handle changes, because on the outside everything looks normal. Everything looks normal to everyone. You're still posting your content, you're still showing up, still doing what you have to do, but inside something has shifted. You see, when there's a shift, you are no longer in that space that you were before. You have moved to another space. There's been a shift. So you find yourself in between where you're coming from to where you are going to. And I remember very well walking through a season like that. There was technically nothing wrong. Clients were there, work was happening, everything looked fine. Life looked fine. But it didn't feel right anymore. I couldn't really put my finger to it because it wasn't really making sense. I was fine. Everything was going on great. But why am I feeling unsettled? Why? It came to a point whereby the goals that I was chasing no longer excited me. The things that excited me before was not exciting me anymore. And I just could not put my finger to it. Why am I not getting excited about the things that used to excite me? I did not have the words to describe the place that I was in. And honestly speaking, hands on heart, I found myself in a position whereby I could introduce myself and talk about what I do, talk about my business, but it was starting to feel outdated, that I was no longer, I just could not identify that same person that I was introducing, because I was no longer that person. I don't know if it makes sense to you. Let me know if that makes sense. If you've ever been in a position when you know that the places I used to hang around, I've outgrown them. The people I used to hang around with, the rooms I used to enter, I have outgrown all those things. The conversations that I used to have, I have outgrown those things. And you don't have words to describe that season that you were in. If this is relatable, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your story. I would love to hear the transition that you had to make and what was that like for you. And even the content that I was creating for my business, it was starting to feel really outdated. I just could not relate to the posts that I was putting out. I could not relate to the emails I was sending because I was no longer that person. And it actually felt like what I was writing, the things that I was putting out, belonged to the old version of me. It belonged to a version that I had completely shifted from. And I was not like fully aware that I had outgrown that space. I had outgrown that person. I kept thinking to myself, what on earth is wrong with me? What is going on? And I remember my VA, bless her heart, she would help me create the content. And she would give me the content to approve and go through. But funny enough, I just could not to relate to the things that I was reading. And yet, that was how I used to write. That was the new things that I used to talk about. But now I had gotten to a stage whereby I was literally distancing myself from what I was writing and putting out there. I could not relate. That was no longer me. And I was wondering, why can I not relate to the things that I am writing? Why can I not relate to the things that I'm sharing with my audience? It was good. The content was good. Don't get me wrong, but I was talking from a place where I was no longer functioning from. And I'm sure you can relate. There are certain topics, certain conversations, certain people, certain things that when people start talking about those things, the people that you used to talk to about those things, or when you start hearing about those type of stories, you start to feel like it's just a waste of time, a waste of space talking about these things. Why? Because you've outgrown that stage. You actually see it like a waste of time. Like, I no longer see the world or see things from that space that I used to see it from. Eventually, I realized that nothing was wrong with me. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Even though I just could not put words to what I was feeling or going through, it didn't mean that there was something wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with me. I wasn't failing. I wasn't. I was just at a point of my life where I was evolving. I'm no longer the same person I was 2 years ago. I'm no longer the same person I was 5 years ago. I was outgrowing an old identity. The identity that people knew of me. The way I would speak, the way I process my thoughts, the kind of conversations that I would engage in, the kind of rooms that I would find myself in. I literally got to a realization that I have outgrown all of this. And it's okay. It's okay to evolve. It's okay to outgrow things. That is life. It's life. That is the reality of life. I was no longer operating from my old identity. I had a completely new identity. Tell you something for a fact. The reason why the in-between season feels confusing is because you have closed one chapter, but the next one hasn't fully formed. It hasn't fully formed yet. So you are caught in the in-between season. I want you to picture this. It's like standing in a hallway. Standing in a hallway, you've just come from the living room and you are making your way to the bedroom, but now you are caught in the hallway. You've just closed the door of the living room. You've just closed one door to your life. And let's say that's the room to the living room. So you've just closed that door, but the other door hasn't been opened. So that leaves you right in the middle of the hallway. You haven't arrived to where you're going, but behind you, there is a closed door. And if we can really be honest with ourselves, most of us hate hallways. We hate that hallway season where you are caught in between. That's because we like clarity, we like plans, and we like knowing how to introduce ourselves. I'll give you a good example of myself. I recently started recording my podcast, and the time that I started on a new journey of recording podcasts, sharing stories, having conversations with different women, I realized that even my identity had changed. And now I was trying to figure out, how do I reintroduce myself? Because I'm no longer operating from that other side of me, which was coaching women how to market their businesses. I wasn't fully operating from that angle. So I knew that now I have to reintroduce myself. And that is the part that I didn't really like, if I'm to be honest with you. Because now I'm trying to figure out, how do I reintroduce myself? Because I was still transitioning. I was still in that hallway period where I knew, right, this is where I'm transitioning to, but I'm not fully there. So how do I reintroduce myself again? So like most people, they like knowing how to introduce themselves and not be caught in a place whereby they don't really know how to introduce themselves to people. And as a result, that's why most people don't like the hallway season. If you really look at it, you realize that reinvention doesn't happen when you are certain of something. It only happens the time when you are transitioning. That is when reinvention happens. When you are in movement, when you're taking the steps to transition to be who you want to be. to step into the shoes of who you want to become. That normally happens quietly. It happens internally without applause. It's not something that you just straight away come on social media and say,
you know what, I've decided to do ABCD. I've decided now I no longer want to be known as a fitness coach. Now I want people to know me.
It's not something that you can just automatically announce, because that's a period that has to happen quietly. It has to happen inward first. There has to be some certainty within yourself that this is what I want to do. This is where I'm going, before you announce it to the whole world. And that is the place where identity shifts happen. Our identity shifts in that quiet place that we are in transition, that we're moving, coming from that side, going to that side, without having to make noise about it, until the time that you fully become who you want to become. And when you've gotten to a place whereby you release who people used to know you as, what you were known for. Identity shifts happen when you stop having to force what no longer fits. You no longer fit in those places that you used to hang around. You no longer fit those type of conversations that you used to be comfortable in being a part of. And therefore you have to stop forcing things. Don't force things. I know it's not easy. It's not easy to walk away from what you used to know, what you were comfortable doing. It's not easy walking away from the kind of people that you used to hang around with. It's not easy to walk away from what you know. But stop trying to force it. Identity shifts don't always look dramatic. It doesn't have to be some one big dramatic event that happens in your life. No, it doesn't even happen like that. Sometimes it's just simply you pulling back from what you used to do, pulling back from the people that you used to hang around with, pulling back from the things that you had been doing over and over and over and still getting the same results. It's time to just pull back. Time to pull back. Time to start questioning things. The things that you just used to do without thinking, the things that you just used to do on autopilot without even questioning, what am I doing? How am I benefiting from what I'm doing? How long am I going to keep doing this? I've been doing this for the past 5 years. Where has it gotten me to? What can I show for what I've been doing all this time? So it's time to start questioning some of these things that you have been programmed, the things that you just did without even questioning. Identity shifts is about feeling less excited about the things that used to excite you. It's okay, it's normal, it's part of the shift. It's part of the shift. Things that used to light you up, they're no longer lighting you up anymore. And now you're more focused in wanting depth. You want things which are deep and not just focusing on growth. You want depth. That is part of the identity shift. It doesn't mean that you are losing momentum in your life. It just means that you are aligning yourself to your new identity. That is what is happening. You're not losing any momentum. You're just stepping into the new identity that you are now in, the new reality. I just want to tie back to what I've shared so far with content creation. For those who run their businesses online, you could be a coach, a consultant, service provider. When you are in the in-between season, your content will definitely feel off. That's a fact. When you start seeing it, when you get to a stage whereby you're now questioning the things that you used to post, the things that you used to write and felt aligned to, but now you're no longer aligned to those things, you're now questioning those things, just know that you are now in the in-between season. It's not because you have forgotten how to create content. It just means that you are still speaking from an identity that you have already outgrown. And as a result, you find that the things that you're saying, they feel forced. You don't feel like they're genuinely coming from you. You don't feel connected to whatever it is that you are posting on your platforms or whatever it is that you're talking about to people. For example, maybe you speak on stages, right? And you're talking to an audience, talking about the same thing that you used to talk about, but you are now starting to feel unaligned, not aligned to what you're saying. And as a result, you start feeling like everything is forced. And that is why if you really look at it, that's where you find that whatever content you're putting out there is falling flat, because what you're saying here in your content is not who you are. You know, when they say that you need to practice what you preach, when you're just saying something for the sake of saying it because you believe that is what people are looking for, that's the information people need to hear, but you are not aligned yourself. You know how some people can preach about something or talk about something, but they are not doing it themselves. You see? So it's out of alignment. And that falls flat because people can pick up that there's something that is misaligned. It's funny how we can have so many, just an example, how we can have so many like relationship gurus online, and you later on discover that one of your favorite relationship guru has not been living up to the things that they've been sharing themselves. You see, that's exactly what it means to be talking about something that is not even aligned to how you even live your own life. That is absolute hypocrisy. And even yourself, you cannot even connect to what you're saying. So if you find your content is now falling flat, you cannot connect to it. It's not because you've forgotten how to write content. It's not because you've got a strategy problem. It's just an identity shift. And that is the one thing that you need to be able to pick up when there has been an identity shift, because when there has been an identity shift, that has to be communicated to your audience. I had to communicate to my audience and say, you know what? I identify myself now as a story and identity coach because I am no longer at that place that I was in. And as long as you've not fully acknowledged who you're becoming, there's going to be a problem with you being able to communicate clearly who you are. And people, your audience, are able to pick that up. I can actually tell you the amount of times that I've gotten confused with some of the people that I follow in my circles. I got confused. I've known this person to be doing this and this. Now they're not doing this. Why did I get confused? I got confused because they did not communicate who they have become. And that brings confusion when you don't communicate about your new identity. If you find yourself feeling unsure, not as confident as you were before, pull back and maybe more reflective of the things that you're saying. Questioning yourself, not sure what you're saying if it still makes sense. I want you to realize that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that you're now becoming someone different. Someone different who is still trying to speak from the old you. And now you're now in a position whereby you're now questioning yourself. You're not questioning everything that you're doing because there has been a shift. So give yourself permission not to rush to the next label, the next title. You don't have to figure it out straight away to say, this is what I'm doing. It's okay to take your time and figure out that new title. You don't need a new title tomorrow. I mean, there's no rush. Take your time. Find yourself. Find your footing. Get fully immersed into your new identity. You don't need to announce the new reinvention straight away. Some things happen privately first. And when you've settled down, you're sure of the direction that you've taken, that new version of you is fully formed, coming from a place of truth and not trying to be someone that you are not. In the next video, I want to talk to you about how to communicate while you're reinventing yourself, because that's the part where it can get tricky and muddy when you are reinventing, but you don't know how to communicate with your audience. You don't know how to communicate with your ideal client. Because the thing is, some people find themselves trying to disappear during a transition period. You don't have to disappear. You don't have to disappear. You also don't have to pretend like nothing has changed. So if this season, what I've shared with you today, sounds familiar and relatable to you, let me know in the comments. Let me know which season are you in right now. Are you in the hallway season, the season that I've been talking about, the in-between season? If that is you, let me know in the comments. And if you are in that hallway season, that in-between season, I want you to stay close, because reinvention isn't loud. You don't need to make noise. You don't need to make an announcement about it. But it's definitely powerful. If you've enjoyed today's video, make sure to like this video, share with a friend who needs to hear this, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you do not miss out on the next video. on how to communicate whilst reinventing yourself. So do take care. I'll see you in the next one. For now, I'm checking out. Bye.